I'd like to call this meeting to order. First, I'd like to announce that this meeting is being recorded and ask if there's anyone in the audience who is also recording this meeting. Seeing none, if we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no one who signed up for public comment. And we have a 7:05 hearing that we need to wait a couple minutes for. Is there a motion to move up the gift acceptance?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, so voted. And the gift acceptance from the fire department, from Louise Lucier, the fire department gift account, we have $10 in currency. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion to accept with gratitude.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, so voted. Still have like 2 minutes. We're just going to wait for 1 minute rather than jump into something else. Move that up.
Motion to move up agenda item 6.
Which one?
The,
6-6?
The vote for setting the meeting prior to the town meeting.
So agenda item 6-6. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, so voted. So we would need to set a time to meet prior to the annual town meeting.
Town meeting starting at
7
7
p.m.
again this time.
Yes.
There's nothing major, I would say 6:30. 6:30, I think, would be.
Okay, there's a motion for a 6:30 meeting prior to
Second.
town meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, so voted. So we'll be meeting at 6:30 prior to the annual town meeting. The next item we have is a motor vehicle Class 2 license for Richard Lundgren Honda, doing business as Lundgren Honda, 525 Washington Street. Is there a motion to open the hearing?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. The hearing is open. Good evening. If you could give your name for the record, please.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman and members of the board. My name is Paul O'Brien. I'm an attorney practicing here in Auburn. With me tonight is Don McEwen, the sales manager for Lundgren Honda. We're here tonight to request that you approve a Class 2 motor vehicle sales license for premises at 525 Washington Street, which is the former site of Lundgren's new car sales dealership. As you know, they've moved down the street. What they're doing now is they're requesting to use their former premises as a used car sales. The operation will be very similar to what was before. Together with the DT Automotive, which is your next hearing, there'll be basically a full-service used car dealership. There'll be sales, there'll be parts, there'll be service. So it'll be much the same as it was since 1992 when they first moved in until last year when they moved out. We have been before the DCG. The DCG did not have any issues with the application. I was able to obtain a copy of the last plan, the last site plan that was approved, and I'd be happy. I have some extra copies here, and I'd be glad to pass them around if you'd like to look at them.
I think that would be helpful, just
yep.
to let the board look at one and
Yep.
pass it around.
May I approach the bench?
You may.
I submitted the extra page with the legend so you didn't have to count spaces.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
But basically, there are 32 display spaces for cars. There's 199 inventory overstock spaces. So we'd be requesting that our car count, so to speak, would be at 231, which would be accommodated by those parking spaces. In addition, there are 144 spaces available for customers and employees. And the reason that I brought you that plan is, as I mentioned, it was the last one approved when they expanded the parking lot in the back. And that's the one they used all the way up until last year. So it seems that it worked then. We're asking you to approve it now. Are there any questions on the operation or?
First, I'd like to ask you if the applicant is aware of the bullets that the DCG has recommended. There shall be no loading or unloading of cars within the state highway layout. All loading and unloading must be done on the applicant's property. All vehicles are to be parked on paved surface and arranged per the approved site plan. This shall include customers and employees, and the business owner shall apply for a permit for any proposed sign alterations. And you have no problem with those being...
That is acceptable.
If being approved, those conditions?
Yes.
Do any members, Mr. Holstrom?
Good evening, and through the chair, what we have here is the application for license to buy, sell, exchange, or assemble secondhand motor vehicles. And it's at 525 Washington Street, and from what I see here, give a complete description of the premises to be used, and it says the office space and showroom in the existing building at 525, and a portion of the parking field in the front and along sides of said building. It sounds to me that you're going to be doing some repair work, servicing, and is that they're going to be space in that building? And I guess to tie the two of them together, DT Automotive is going to be doing repairs, so is it going to be two separate businesses? Are you going to be doing one business for another, or how's that going to be working?
There will be two separate businesses. DT Automotive does the service, Lundgren does sales. And as far as space is concerned, that worked quite well for Lundgren Honda until their new car sales outstripped it. Basically, they needed more room.
Okay.
The only difference from the former operation is you have a different entity over in service and a different one selling. But to all intents and purposes, all of the activities that went on before will be going on now. It's just used cars and two folks instead of one.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
You're the attorney for the second hearing as well.
Yes,
Would
I
you
am.
be agreeable for the board to open the second hearing, have both hearings open at the same time, so you can explain the entire operation?
Certainly.
Okay, is there a motion?
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. So the hearing for DT Automotive LLC at 525 Washington Street, a 7:10 hearing, is now open also. And Attorney O'Brien will explain how these two operations will work together on one site. Bless you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm here tonight to represent DT as well, and I'll introduce Paul Marengo, who is the principal in DT Automotive LLC. Paul has been in the auto repair business for 19 years. The last 10 of it, he's been working together with Lundgren, doing much the same as what he will be doing in 525 Washington Street. He'll be servicing predominantly Lundgren cars. They may have some other cars coming in that aren't Lundgren cars, but you know, used car dealerships and new car dealerships do that as well. So, again, you know, it's almost a copy of what Lundgren did before in the same premises, just a different type of product now.
Mr. Grossman.
Yes, will Lundgren be using, as they are now, the parking areas for overflow on space at the new dealership?
Yes, if the board would be okay with that, we would not be doing any sales, obviously, from this site. But occasionally, they get shipments of cars that they cannot refuse, and this gives them a little bit of capacity in order to maintain compliance on their lot down at 163. So with the board's permission, we'd certainly like to do that.
Are there any other questions? Just for the record, I'd like to read the conditions that DCG has recommended for the second hearing for DT Automotive. All vehicles are to be parked on paved surface and arranged per the approved site plan. This shall include customers and employees. There shall be no auto repair outside of the building. The applicant will not perform any paint services without first obtaining the appropriate DEP permits. The applicant will obtain all required fire department permits. The business owner shall apply for a permit for any proposed sign alterations. If you're familiar with these recommended
am.
conditions and you have any issues with any of those?
None at all.
Okay.
Just for the record, I understand that Mr. Marengo met with Captain Anderson on a couple of occasions. I don't know if he's sent in his memoranda.
Well, I would
Excellent.
believe that we received a copy. If I could just read that into the record as well. Good afternoon. Please be advised that the Bureau of Fire Prevention has conducted an inspection of 525 Washington Street, the former Lundgren Honda, for DT Automotive. No violation were witnessed at the time of the inspection, and this office is in the process of issuing all required permits. This office recommends the approval of the automotive repair license being considered at this evening's Selectmen's meeting. Respectfully, Captain Stephen M. Anderson, Bureau of Fire Prevention. You know, and just looking at the numbers, certainly 144 spaces for customers and employees. I mean, I hope you have that many, but, you know, I certainly do, but I don't think that there's a concern with any of the parking issues. Mr. Antinovica, did you have anything to add on either one of these hearings? Good evening.
Madam Chair, thank you. I just have two things. One, I performed the inspections with Captain Anderson, and the building is in good shape. We had no issues with it. They're up to code. They've done a great job cleaning it up. Happy to see it being used again. And my second request is that when you issue the certificate for the Class 2 license, if you could identify the number of cars that are to be parked there for the use of sales. It just helps in compliance issues when I go to check the lots and make sure that everybody's doing things the way that the board has requested them to do it. It's one of the items that we're looking to have on future certificates.
And that's on the Lundgren?
Yes.
And do we have that number in our packet?
Is it the 231?
No, that's what Attorney O'Brien, I mean, they have a
The sheet that
recommended
you sent us has 231 spaces?
Correct.
in total.
Yeah, I believe that's what's on the existing parking plan. Prior to the license being written, I can give a determination of the number of parking spaces for the accessory cars that are going to be stored on the site. The reason why we're asking that is just to make sure that we don't have an overabundance of the cars and cars getting parked in areas where they shouldn't be. There is a lot plan that you have in front of you, and basically I'm just looking to make sure that we have the number of cars that are on the lot plan as opposed to cars in the aisleways and cars parked along the edges. It's an issue that we've seen at other car dealerships and that we're trying to rectify, but I figure where this is one of the new circumstances coming in, if we can start here, hopefully we can get the other ones to come into compliance.
So I just want to be clear, are you looking for a specific number? Are you looking to have included in the motion that the number of spaces designated in the approved?
Yes. Yeah, we can do two ways. If the board deems to put a specific number on there, that's agreeable. Or the other item would be to say per the the plot plan, as directed on there, dated such and such, titled this. I don't have a copy of the plan in front of me to read it, but
And this one isn't, October 3rd, 2000.
yes, yeah. October 3rd, 2000, Long Run Honda parking modifications. If we could identify that plan as their approved parking plan, that would be great.
Excuse me, I'm just taking notes, thank you. Did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, thanks so much. Did anyone have questions for Mr. Antonivica? Mr.
yeah.
Simonian?
So this modification's already done, right?
Correct.
This is all set?
Yes.
And I just want to be clear, since we're going to determine this. There's 375 total spaces listed on the sheet that Attorney O'Brien, and you're talking about a specific number carved out of just the 231 that are for display and inventory, not customer. Is that
Correct, yes.
Okay. So,
Now, the reason why we're looking at that is because in the building code and in our zoning code, there are specific quantities that are required per building area. And then the over parking for display cars and sales cars is what they have designated out in this area. For the building size and the area and what it's being used for, the applicant can go in front of the zoning board and ask for a reduction in the required parking for the customers and for the service people, and that would allow for more additional cars to be parked on the site. The reason why I'm requesting this is to help prevent any future items where we just get an overabundance of cars on the site. Because right now, from what I see on all the other dealerships, and it tends to happen everywhere, is that we have a certain number of cars and parking spaces that are shown here. And through the course of the year or a year or two, soon there'll be cars parked in the aisleways and parked sideways and this, that, and the next thing. So I'm just trying to look for some type of definitive way that we can prevent that situation from happening. I don't want to prevent the lots to have cars on the sites that is going to prevent them from having their business flourish. I want to see business here. I want to see them do well. But I also want to keep a safe condition for the businesses in town. I want to be able to have our emergency vehicles to be able to circulate around the site without an issue. I want the customers to be able to travel the site without having to worry about dodging in and out of aisleways because cars are parked where they shouldn't be. That's basically what I'm looking to have, is just create a safe condition on the site and make sure that the cars are parked where they should be.
and so that's just for the cars that are being stored there?
Yes.
And I have another question, because I either missed it or didn't quite understand. When you were talking about Mr. Grossman's question regarding the vehicles that would be stored, and you were talking about overflow, those vehicles would be where, potentially?
Most of the vehicles would be used car vehicles. But my question was, with the board's permission, we would ask to be able to move some of the new product from 163 Washington to 575 if there was room, within that parameter that we have for inventory/display vehicles. The reason for that is, as I said, sometimes you get a big shipment of cars and you can't send them back. So that way, they could move them up to 525, remain compliant at 163. We can't exceed that number of inventory and display vehicles in any event, whether they're used or new. But it's just a flexibility type of thing.
All right, now that you explained, that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
So with what Mr. Antonivica is asking, there won't be any issue with that, with doing that?
The plan pretty clearly delineates the display across the front, 2 rows on the side and 3 in the back. So that's, and not to mention the fact that my client is color coding that lot.
Fair enough. I just wanted to be clear because we're talking about a couple different things going
Yeah,
on
yeah.
here, so
I understand.
makes sense. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
So I just want to be clear, Mr. O'Brien, that the inventory from the other dealership will be, the area in the back of the lot will be used, where it says inventory overstock parking?
Well, it may be the back and it may be the side. The double row on
Okay.
the left side of the plan is also inventory overstock, even though it's not
Okay.
delineated. The reason that it is so is that it's, you see that it's too deep, and so nobody's in those lanes except, inventory from the dealership, because they have their jockeys getting cars out of the back and everything like that, so you don't have consumer customer cars in those portions of the park.
Okay. Mr. Simone and then
So-
Mr. Grossman.
One more question, and I'm really not trying to be redundant here. I'm just making sure that, do we use the inventory and overstock for both the parking on the left-hand side of the drawing and the parking in the rear?
Correct.
And that will also be for vehicles that are being repaired? Or is that,
Well, let me ask my client.
Plenty of room in the back
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, there's
Except
20,
for those
there's
two rows
28
there.
spaces
well, that's
here.
what I just, because.
The answer is no. Those, where they're double stacked and triple stacked, there won't be customer cars of any type, whether they're repair cars or trade-in cars or whatever. A customer car won't be there.
No, where will those be located? Just,
Well, customer cars around the side of the building, the back of the building, and there's a double line of parking in the middle of the back parking field. So those types of spaces can be used for customers coming in to buy a car, customer who comes in to have their car serviced, and for the employees as well.
all right, thanks for the clarification.
Thank you.
Are there any other, Mr. Grossman?
You have a unique situation here where you got a combination of the two. As long as we agree and you agree to the plan of 2,000, that solves all the problems. There doesn't need to be all this discussion as to what's going where. It's that you have so many cars, they're designated, and you don't exceed that.
Very well.
Just for the record, can you give me an idea of how many employees will be at each location?
Lundgren Honda, approximately 6.
DT Automotive has 10.
Thank you. Are there any other board comments or questions? Is there any public comment or questions? If you could come up for the record, give your name for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Linda Boycell. I live at 122 South Street. My property abuts the back of this property. I have two questions. With these two new companies, are you going to be using outside speaker systems? Nothing for music? No calls?
We need-
Okay.
okay.
The second question I have is the lights. When this property was built in 1992, the neighborhood was here asking about the lights. They said the lights would be shut off between 10 and 11 at night. When there was an expansion of the property, we came back and asked about the lights again, because they've never been shut off since 1992. We've repeatedly had asked, eventually just gave up about the light pollution. I have one particular light that goes right into my bedroom, right onto the pillow, of course, and they said they put shields on the lights. I don't know what they did. I think they put the lights higher and then put the shields on them because it was even brighter after that. So my question is, will you be shutting the lights off?
We'll address questions through here because we need everything on the record. So are
Certainly.
those your questions?
Those are the two.
Okay, first I'd like to ask Mr. Antinovica to come up, and I don't know if you have the site plan with you, and if that was addressed in the site plan, that lighting issues are generally addressed with the planning board, and any conditions
Correct, they
site
are.
plan?
However, since this was an existing plan and the uses were consistent with what was previously there, site plan approval was waived since there was no reason for them to actually go in front of the planning board at this point. What we do is, I believe that you can make a motion as a part of the license that the light be dimmed to necessary security lighting after business hours. That's determined by the business owner what security lighting is. However, it should be less than having the full amount of the lights on at that time. In those areas also, I can go back and I can review the submitted lighting plan for the previous land development in 2000 and determine what the light scopes are. And if it exceeds it, then we can order a correction to make the applicant correct the lighting situation, because per the town ordinances and the planning board, there shouldn't be any light spillover from the property lines. All light should be contained within inside the property lines.
So I would believe that there would be something that addresses the lighting in the site plan.
Correct.
You know.
Yeah, there should be, I can go back, I will review the previous land development set from October 2000 and look at what the site lighting chart says, and we can make sure that the site is in compliance with that lighting plan.
Okay. And if you could just get the resident's information and just follow up with her.
Yes.
So she can, make you aware of her concerns and where those specific lights are, so you can, as the enforcement officer, you can check on that for us?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Did you have anything else? Okay, so we'll make sure that he follows up with the original site plan, the lighting, and, they can't have lights intruding on your property, so he'll, as the enforcement officer, he'll check on that.
Okay.
All righty, thank you. Is there anything else? Any other public comment? Anything else, Mr. O'Brien? No. Okay. Anything else from board members? Is there a motion to close? We have a motion to close the hearing at Richard Lundgren Incorporated, doing business as Lundgren Honda. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Is there a motion on the hearing, on the license application for Lundgren Honda?
Make a motion that we approve the license, provided all applicable requirements of the state and town and in its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all the conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all the conditions shall be invalidate the license and render it null and void, and the conditions recommended by the DCG.
Mr.
And
Holstrom,
all-
would you be willing to add the additional condition, parking shall be in accordance with the Lundgren Honda approved parking modification plan dated October 3rd, 2000?
I have no problem with that, and also I'd like to add on to it that the planning board be approached to resolve the lighting issue. Can we put that in there, that
Through the chair, I think.
Maybe heard.
Maybe to have the building inspector confirm with the planning board's prior vote on the site plan approval, because it's not currently
Okay.
before site plan.
just
before
want to be
planning
sure
board.
that that's, so
Absolutely.
we get this issue addressed.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Now I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing for DT Automotive LLC.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. The hearing is closed. Is there a motion in regards to that license application?
Make a motion that the board approve the license, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all the conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all the conditions shall invalidate the license, render it null and void, and the conditions recommended by the DCG.
And again, the parking shall be in accordance with the Lundgren Honda approved parking modification plan dated October 3rd, 2000.
Thank you.
And there's a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
Thank you all.
Mr. O'Brien, if you could, just for a moment, extend our thanks to the Lundgren family. You know, they built this fabulous dealership down the road, and we had concerns that that site would be vacant for some time, and they turned around and reinvested in the community, and we're very appreciative of their their investment in the town of Auburn.
I will extend that to them as soon as I see them next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Let's see, moving on. We have no communications. Under Board of Selectmen items, we have the Charter Cable Television License Renewal, which is in our packet. Good evening. If you could just give your name for the record.
Bill Schiebler, Chairman of the Cable Committee. First, I'll start off, a bit of an error last time when I was comparing the two contracts. It wasn't apples to apples. Back when we did this, we'd receive the draft in the mail, they'd run it over to Staples and print out these monsters. It's double-spaced, larger font, so it's about 10 pages when you compare it to this one. That being said, the contract, as I said before, is an evolutionary process. Each renewal by a town and changes by the FCC and TC contributes to the changes in the document. From the time we signed our last contract and the new one, approximately 100 contracts in Massachusetts have been signed. Our contract actually becomes the basis for the next one that they work on, and again, the process starts all over again. At the last meeting, the Board of Selectmen requested to highlight the major changes from the last contract to this new one. There are a few differences, but nothing major. I'll give you the most significant ones. The structure of the document has changed from 8 categories to 15. The advantage of this is quicker reference to specific clauses. The committee refers to the contract several times a year to verify compliance. The next change was a deletion of approximately 6 pages regarding the INET construction and maintenance. Since we now have a town-owned system, this is not needed. We have one building still connected to the INET, and Charter has allowed us up to a year to connect that to the system. Chris is already working on that, so that'll be done quick enough. The next big item was the emergency alert system. The old contract had a provision for local officials to override the cable system to provide an audio message in the case of an emergency. By FCC regulations, that expired on June 17, 2011. The system was obsolete and has since been replaced by the Code Red system. And for those listening at home that haven't signed up, go to the town website, auburnguide.com, and sign up. The last contract also had quite a section on moving the head end to the new high school. If we didn't have that in the other contract, it would have cost us a fortune to move all that equipment and wiring to the new building. We have mentioned in the contract, the new contract, that there's a possibility that a middle school will be built, and Charter will take care of all the hookups on that. There's 3 potential connection points there that fall in the range for them not to make a big production out of it. Not a change, but worth mentioning is the senior discount. Massachusetts is the only state that Charter still provides this benefit to, and they will continue doing it through the next 10 years of the contract. Small items, rates and programming went from 14 to 6 items. But again, that's because of FCC regulations and things like that. There was a deletion of a clause in the new contract regarding polling, and Bill August did that at the last minute. It's something that was never used, it'll never be used. Yeah, it's gone. A new section is that all Charter employees and their subcontractors will have ID badges when they're servicing homes.
Can you say that again?
All the Charter employees and their subcontractors that work on residents' homes will have clearly marked ID badges.
Thank you for including that.
There was an old section in the old contract regarding municipal access. That's just been folded into the PEG access in general. There's a fairly large contract, A new section was added about the Cable Advisory Committee acting as representatives of the issuing authority. And the new schedule clearly outlines the rates and fees that will be payable to the town through this new contract. And that's about it, so.
Okay. And so can you just state again one more time what were to happen if another cable company became available within the time frame that this contract?
This contract is non-exclusive. We could have said 100 companies in here if they all chose to come in here and do it. they'll just all negotiate exactly the same way and keep it a level playing field for all potential competition.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Mr. Grossman?
I don't know if this applies to charter or whether it applies to us as a town, but I believe we were planning to fit the presentation room at the high school for cable.
That's, our committee is the one that takes care of all that stuff. We have all those items in our wish list coming up after the signing of the new contract. But it looks like that project will go forward. Just be a slight delay, that's all.
Anything else? Mr. Simonian?
Okay, so, actually, well, a couple of questions depending on, because I'm trying to remember this. Through the chair to the town manager, the code red system is on a contractual basis, and we pay for that right now with grants? Is that-
Through the chair, the Code Red system is, we are on a 3-year contract with the recognition that we only pay every year as the funds are available. So we pay it with grants, nothing comes out of tax levy. 50% came from a grant from the Emergency Management Planning Grant from MEMA, and the other 50% came from the local cable commission.
So my follow-up question, since I did remember that correctly, is if for some reason, when the contract ran out, we didn't have code red for some reason, how would that affect this, since that's replaced a part of the previous system?
Well, I mean, who knows? We may have there's other systems like Code Red out there too. Something better might come along, and we take that year at a time.
All right.
Yeah, and through the chair, I would say, from the town administration point, we always need to have some type of emergency notification system. So whether it's Code Red now, which it's a great system, but at the end of the 3-year contract, we analyze it and see if there is a better opportunity. At the moment, I don't see that we would be doing that at all. It's worked out great. I know the sheriff's office is just continuing their program, so it's become incumbent upon communities to offer their own services. So there is no other option available to communities. I believe by the end of this year, that sheriff's program will be phased out.
Thanks.
Is there anything else on this? Is there any public comment on this? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve charter cable television license renewal agreement. Execute the agreement on behalf of the town of Auburn as recommended by the LCC.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Thank you for coming back again.
Thank you.
We have to sign it tonight.
Chair, if we could have, so I can pull the page.
So we're just going to take a moment here and sign the contract.
We can fill in everything else. Yeah, you can take that.
That's blue. I like black for contracts. We'll move up 6-5 before the subcommittee, because no one's here. 6-2 is next.
Thank you.
Correct.
Through the chair, while you're signing, if I can, I just want to take a moment also to just thank the
Thank you.
local cable committee for all the work that they've done. This is a long process to go through ascertainment. They've done a great job. They've had a number of hearings. It's a volunteer group that gets together, and they have a lot on their plate to accomplish in a short period of time to get this contract underway. So I think they've all done a great job. A couple of the members are here now, and actually Wayne Page is here, who was a former member of the committee, I think back when it started. So just want to make sure that we thank all of the committee members for all the hard work that they've done. They had several public hearings, and the public did come out and give comments. It's been incorporated. Charter has been responsive to some of the comments that came about, and we look forward to just a continued good relationship with them. As issues have been raised, as some of them have, they've been right on top of them. So they've given us good customer service, and I think it's improved even in the last few months.
Thank you. The next item we have is seasonal open-air license on town property, Troop 53 flower sale at the Auburn Fire Station. Is there a representative? If you could come up, please. Give your name for the record and tell us what you'll be doing.
Hi, my name is David Keys. I'm the Scoutmaster for Troop 53, and today I'd like to present the ability to use the parking area next to the fire station to do our flower sale. We have an annual flower sale every year, and the Scouts like to go to summer camp, and we use that money to go to summer camp. And just wanted to make sure that we would be able to go there. I talked to the chief, and he said it's no problem. We would be staying over just to make sure that nothing happens to the flowers, because we usually receive about 1,000 different types, baskets and annuals and stuff like that, so.
And the applicant has included their liability waiver and also their 501c3 statement. Are you familiar with Chief Coleman's request of where the flowers should be sold from?
Yes, I have, and
So-
I totally agree to that. That's perfect for us.
So, just for the record, I'll read it in. And I understand that a request has been made by Troop 53 to hold their annual Mother's Day flower sale throughout the weekend of May 10th in the lawn area of the fire station. There are no other events or activities at the station that weekend that would interfere. Although I have no objections with them using some areas of the property for advertisement and sale, I feel that the actual flower sales would be better suited to take place in the municipal parking lot aside of the fire station, between the station and 31 Auburn Street. This will allow them more room to set up and will provide for a better and safer parking situation. If they were to set up on the lawn, it would require them to utilize the parking area directly aside of the fire station, which would cause traffic issues for us. In summary, I would recommend that they advertise with their signage on the lawn, but hold the actual flower sale in the municipal lot. And that is signed by Chief Stephen M. Coleman. Are there any questions or comments? Is there any public comment? Is there a motion?
A motion to approve the license provided all applicable requirements, the state and town, any of its departments, boards, and conditions have been fulfilled. Said license is subject to all the conditions stated upon it. Failure to comply with any and all the conditions shall invalidate the license and render it null and void.
Second.
Are we including the chief's comments, recommendations
Yes.
on the second?
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Is there an additional motion?
Motion to waive the fee in accordance with the board's policy.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Good luck with your sale.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have one other question, if I
Sure.
could, really quick. We, for probably the last 20 or 30 years, have been collecting old, worn-out, and retired flags. And what we do is we work with the Veterans Association to take those on Flag Day and then burn them appropriately with a ceremony. And recently, with the changes that we've got in town on being able to collect things in municipal areas such as the library or the fire station or the town hall, we haven't been able to do that. And, we really look forward to being able to help the community and do that with this. And, I would like to bring it up to discussion whether we would think that that would be possible. It's not anything that we do as far as a fundraiser or anything.
Okay, the town manager.
Through the chair, I think that could be possible to be done in conjunction with the permitted event that you just permitted, because that would cover any potential issues. As far as putting donation and collection boxes, we're still, we did receive there was state regulations related to collections and fundraising in support of non-municipal agencies, and that's the problem. While the Boy Scouts do a wonderful job, we've been kind of caught in this whole issue with the state where we can't use municipal property for private purposes, but I think if it's done under a permit, then we're covered, so it could be done during this event, but we can't put the boxes out at different municipal buildings. We've asked for another opinion on the Attorney General's office. We did ask for an opinion about 1.5 years ago, and the opinion came back that we could not do it. They had some revamping of their, or they re-looked at their fundraising / donation / private activity on public property issue, and as a result of that, we have put in a request to the Attorney General's office for another opinion as to whether we can do that. But until we hear otherwise, our last response from the AG's office was that we can't do that. Even though it's a wonderful activity, it's still using public property for private purposes. But under a permitted event, I think it could take place, so during the flower sale, you could put something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Oh, wonderful, thank you.
So the application doesn't specify that it's just a flower sale, so we'd
Yeah, I
need
think
to
it would be
amend the
okay.
motion, or?
I think it's okay
Yeah.
because you're not selling them, you're not
Right.
seeking money. I think you're just putting a box there and it's a community part of what you're doing. I think you're covered and I think the town would be covered should there be any type of issue. It's a permanent activity. You're not just putting them all over town. There's a specific place in an event. I think it's fine. I don't think you need to do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you so much. That was all I had. Great, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to move up agenda item 6A5.
Is there a sec- All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. And before I bring Mr. LaFlash up, is there a motion to approve a request for a proclamation?
Motion to approve the request for the proclamation for the annual letter carriers food drive day.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Mr. LaFlash?
Good evening. Thank you again for bringing me back this year, as in every year. This is the actual 21st year that letter carriers throughout the country have been doing this drive. 20 in this area, but 21 overall. And I want to thank you guys for, again, recognizing the carriers for what they do. I mean, it goes on through all Central Mass, but I live here in Auburn, and I know the Auburn carriers take a lot of pride in doing what they do. I know we do it all throughout, and they all, you know, it's just a good feeling at the end of the day. Last year was kind of a down year. We had good weather, which usually indicates that we'll get a lot of, you know, collections and donations, but the economy, even though it's starting to come back, it's really starting to. The last couple of years, we've seen a gradual decline. Last year was one of the lower numbers in probably the last 10 years. So we're hoping for a rebound. You know, the economy looks like it's coming back. You talk to any and all of the food pantries, their need, the people they serve is even higher, even though the economy's coming back. The real jobs where you used to make some decent money aren't there yet. So people are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, trying to do what they can. And there's you talk about middle-class people that are going to food pantries now because they're paying the mortgage, paying the bills. If they got any other medical issues or whatever, they have to make a decision. The thing they usually cut out is food, so we have an organization and organizations that help. In Auburn, Auburn Youth and Family Services is one, North American Martyrs is another. I try to get food up to the senior center. You know, they actually get some food through North American Martyrs. And the Union Hall up on Route 20, we work with them and they provide to some of the union brothers and sisters that need food and they're out of work and stuff like that. And they will also give it to other people that need it. So there are 3 or 4 that we give to in the town of Auburn. And throughout Central Mass, we give to over 100 food pantries. So we're hoping for more. It is Saturday, May 11th, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. Again, the carriers want to thank you for supporting them and recognizing them and what they do for that one day. it is the Mother's Day weekend, and, you know, we're working a little extra on that Saturday because everybody's getting their gifts and their cards and doing whatever else. But we always get out there and we do what we can. We have volunteers that help us out and help us unload the trucks and do stuff like that, so it works out pretty well. And I just want to thank you for recognizing what we do.
So we do have a proclamation for you, Mr. LaFlash. The Town of Auburn Board of Selectmen proclamation, whereas the Auburn Board of Selectmen wishes to acknowledge organizations whose members excel in service to the community, and whereas the National Association of Letter Carriers and its members demonstrate the highest level of civic responsibility, pride, and dedication, and whereas this pride and dedication is exemplified through the annual food drive conducted by the National Association of Letter Carriers, and whereas the annual food drive is devoted to supporting the needs of families of Auburn, and now, therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Auburn, Massachusetts, do individually and severally commend the National Association of Letter Carriers and proclaim May 11th Annual Food Drive Day in Auburn.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
And we have no member items. Does anyone have anything? We had nothing submitted. Under town manager items, we have CSX. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to go back to selectmen's items because we jumped over one. The vote on the subcommittee recommendations on bylaws. So as you know, the bylaw committee has been reviewing all of the bylaws, preparing a report to go to town meeting and recommendations. This is the section that applies to the Board of Selectmen. The subcommittee has recommended that the specifics to most of these license applications be removed from the bylaws where they're included in the Board of Selectmen policies. We can change those with proper advertising notice and a vote of the board where any bylaw would need to go to town meeting. It's also recommended that all fees be removed from the bylaw and that they all say that the fee shall be set annually by the Board of Selectmen. So these are the current bylaws. In red, you see where we're recommending striking out the language that gives us specifics. And basically, it'll say that they're required to have a license from the Board of Selectmen. Are there any questions or comments? And again, there's probably 2 or 3 pages regarding news racks. And of course, we have no news racks on any public streets. So the subcommittee is recommending removal of that entire section and replace it with news racks shall not be permitted on public ways. And it would be my recommendation that the board vote in favor of this, send it over to the bylaw committee for their review, and if they have any questions or concerns or recommendations, to send it back to us. And town council will also review it before this is sent. And again, this is just the section of the bylaws that pertains to the Board of Selectmen. The bylaw review committee is addressing the rest. Are there any questions or comments?
I do have one question.
Yes.
After we vote this tonight to submit it to the bylaw committee for their review, we're looking back to us with a report and let us know what is going on with that.
Through the chair, that the process that we've outlined right now is for all of the proposed changes to go to the bylaw review committee as well as to town council. Town council is then looking at it and submitting back to the bylaw review committee as he finishes certain sections of the bylaws. The bylaw review committee is then planning to hold public meetings on the different sections of the bylaw. After the public meetings are held, public comment will be taken in. The town council will then look at the public comment and see if some of that can be incorporated from a legal perspective, and the bylaw review committee will do so also. Then there'll be another document that will be prepared, probably in the fall, by town council with all of the proposed revisions to the bylaws that everyone has made, whether it be the town administration or the Board of Selectmen. And at that point, after it's been seen again, and it will be posted, so we could certainly give you the final document, it will be posted, but the final document would have to be voted on by town meeting. So we had estimated that this whole process would probably take about a year, because this is just the select board section, which is large, but there are several sections of it. So by the time we have public meetings and give the public the opportunity to see all the changes, it will be some time, and it will take town council several months to review it. It's probably 4 to 5 months for his review. So our thought is it would probably be ready for town meeting in the winter at some point, and that final document would be what would be sent to all of the town meeting members. So certainly we can make sure that the board sees back any proposed changes. My guess is there would not be too many from the bylaw review committee, because they're looking to get the input from the different boards and commissions, but town council may have some changes based on legal review. So we can get that back to you.
Mr. Solstrom hadn't finished, go ahead.
Okay, through the chair, I think the reason for my comment and my question was, I believe that was one of the goals we set for ourselves for the year, to be more involved in the bylaws and review of them, so we want to be sure that we, keep abreast of what's going on with those.
Through the chair, we could even suggest that, we could work something out where there will be a public meeting on different sections, and we can talk to the bylaw review committee. Perhaps they can combine their particular review of that section here at one of the board meetings. So the board would already be in session and
Good
have the
idea.
opportunity to comment as a board.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Simonian?
Just one thing.
What page?
It's not a big thing, but I've noticed on a few occasions when I've read through the bylaws, I'm sure it was by design, they did a pretty good job of making them non-gender specific.
What page?
And one of the rewrites does have the word he, so I'm just.
What page?
This is page 27, under flea markets. And like I said, if you look through the bylaws, they really are non-gender specific, so I just maybe change that so it doesn't say he. The rewrite on the first line under flea markets.
Did they?
And any other non-gender specific pronoun
Okay.
would be fine.
Okay. All righty. Is there anything else? Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the recommended revisions to the current bylaws as recommended by the subcommittee.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? I thought you were going to say something.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. The next item we have is Town Manager items, CSX Railroad Crossing updates on Sword Street. Mrs. Jacobson.
Thank you. I just wanted to let the board know that let me just get my notes here, the engineer, the staff engineer, Mr. Chad Boutte from Providence and Worcester Railroad Company, contacted our DPW director, Bill Coyle, on, on April 25th. So this was last week. And just wanted to let him know that P&W will be doing some work on the railroad crossing at Sword Street. So I just wanted to read to you what that work is and let you know what dates the work will be taking place. So on May 16th and 17th, the P&W Railroad will be rehabilitating the grade crossing on Sword Street. The project will require a 48-hour road closure of Sword Street. beginning at 7 a.m. on Thursday, May 16th, and ending at 7 a.m. on Saturday, May 18th. For the duration of the project, the road will not be passable to vehicle traffic, emergency or otherwise. For the rehabilitation, the entire crossing will be removed, including the surface, ties, and rail. After leveling the subgrade, P&W will install new track through the crossing, a new crossing surface, and full-depth pavement on the crossing approaches. The project will provide traffic with an improved surface and eliminate the need for lane closures for truck repairs within the crossing. The expected useful life of the rehabilitated crossing is 20 to 25 years. As a result of receiving that, Mr. Coyle approached me, and we felt that the best thing would be for Mr. Coyle to coordinate a meeting with the two chiefs, the fire chief and the police chief, and the engineer, to go over the plans, to go over the road closure, and to go over the detour plans, which did take place. So the next day, Mr. Coyle did meet with the two chiefs and the engineer from P&W, and they discussed the proposed work and the detour, which will be, it consists of going through Boy Street to Rockland Road to Auburn Street to Route 12, and then the reverse. Both chiefs were fine with that detour plan for the 2 days. They advised the P&W Railroad that they would need to have police details at 3 key intersections within that area. We need to have it Sword at Boyce, Boyce at Rockland, and Rockland at Auburn Street. In addition, we advised P&W to coordinate with Mass DOT, since the detour also includes Route 12, which is a state highway. So the detours are in place, the details will be in place, the plan is in place, both chiefs are aware of it, the DPW is aware of it, and it will be for a 48-hour period. The P&W is also, at that time, at the end of last week, was in the process of gathering information from all the owners of businesses in the Auburn Industrial Park to make sure that they notified them as well as the abutters of the proposed work and the detour. Again, that falls on the P&W as far as their responsibility for notification. We believe it's a courtesy and should be done, and they agree with it as well. So again, it's May 16th and 17th. Detour plan is in place, details are in place, and everyone is aware.
So, Mr. Grossman?
You mentioned that the Auburn responsibility of details are on Auburn streets, but what about on Route 12? Was that the state?
Well, actually, the P&W is responsible for the details, it's their project. So we are, the town of Auburn is coordinating on our end with all of anything that's needed on local roads. So on Route 12, they would have to coordinate with Mass DOT as to where Mass DOT wanted those details, but it still falls on P&W to be responsible for that as part of their project cost. So that's...
Would it be possible to request Mr. Coyle to use that notification sign prior to the closure?
I can certainly check with him and make sure that the sign isn't being used at any other location. We have, I believe we have the one electronic sign, so as long as it wasn't pre-scheduled for anything,
Okay.
that's a good idea to use it there.
And for the vendors and any delivery drivers that may be accessing Sword Street at that time, will the detour be clearly marked?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Anything else on this, anyone?
It's a huge inconvenience to me.
Well, call your selectmen.
It is. So, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that detour coming up, should you get any calls from anyone as well.
Okay.
Including
Mr. Simonian.
Smart.
Thank you.
Did you have something else?
I did just have one thing, it's not on here, but I just wanted to follow up with you, because at the last meeting, we were talking about Rifle Street, and the town meeting warrant had an item for Rifle Street. There was a citizen's petition to make it a public road, and one of the gentlemen came in last week and asked the question about ownership of some of the infrastructure that the residents had put in. And we double-checked, and we were pretty sure, but didn't want to give the answer, but any infrastructure that is in the public right-of-way, once it becomes public, anything in that public right-of-way becomes the property of the town.
Mr. Simonian?
Are you talking about the sewer line?
Yes.
That was actually Perry Place, not right.
Oh, I'm sorry, all right.
That's
Was
all
it-
right, I just,
Yeah, there were two items, my apologies. So Perry Place, the question is anything that was put into that system by the residents, if it is on town property, it becomes part of the town property. So, that's all.
Anything else? We have no tabled items. Is there any public comment?
Thank you, sorry.
Joe Hamill. Due to the recent tragedy in Boston, as you drove around town, different flags were at half-staff, some were at full staff. I would request the town manager to appoint an ad hoc committee. Wayne Page has agreed to join me in this, and we'll probably use the Boy Scouts also, so that we have a contact at each building that has a flag.
Through the chair, we can certainly consider doing that. Just to make it, I'm glad you brought this up, Mr. Himmel, because we do get a lot of questions. There are specific times that you have to lower the flag, what buildings they have to be lowered on. When the federal government issues it or the governor issues it, it has to be on municipal buildings, which primarily are defined as town halls or city halls. That's it. Everything else is optional. The town has taken the position that we want to lower them out of courtesy at other town buildings, depending again on the situation. So we did lower them at the other buildings. We lowered them in the Veterans Park. We lowered them at different places in town. The particular order that came from the president last week, I don't know what happened, but that order did not get passed along to communities until after, I believe, the media had it, prior to the communities getting it. So we actually received it. I believe Senator Moore's office got a copy through the state and sent it to us. At that time, we had already heard it through the media, even though we didn't get the official word yet. So we had already started to lower the flag. So there was about a 2-hour lag there from the time it hit the media to the time we actually were able to get our crews out to get all the flags down in town, because there are quite a few of them.
This is not the town. The town is pretty compliant. It's the private businesses that if we had a contact name, your office could hit the button and they would all get the message to go to half-staff.
And it would be voluntary. We can't require.
Right. I think it's a good idea to look, let me just look into it, just because there are so many different, well, there is the policy, the flag policy,
Yeah.
the federal flag policy, so I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, no, I realize it's the president and the governor, but I mean, I'm just looking for a local notification.
That the president and/or the governor issued the order.
Issues the order, then the town can contact all of these businesses and say, please lower to half-staff.
Yeah,
Mr. Simonian.
it's a good point. This came up, I think it was last year when the Worcester firefighters passed away, and I think it's a good idea. I brought this up a year ago, and as far as the private businesses, that's a tough one to call. But as far as all the municipal buildings because if you look at, and I believe it is actually part of the state law, possibly the federal law, that no flag is supposed to fly on municipal, federal, whatever, fly higher than the United States flag. So I thought it was fantastic that Chief Coleman lowered the flag at the fire station to half-staff like a lot of the other communities did, but at the same time, we ran into the situation where we had the state flag flying higher than the U.S. flag. So it's a great point, but there's some coordination that needs to be done, because that is, one of the issues of having those flags higher than the United States flag. And I certainly, any of us who, understand where all that etiquette and everything came from, it touches, pretty deep. So, thanks.
So I think it would be a good idea for the board to ask Mr. Jacobson to look into flag protocol and prepare a report for,
That's fine.
not necessarily the next meeting.
Sorry
but-
about that.
Oh, no, no.
No.
I know we can't interfere with private business, but we certainly can
But I mean,
recommend.
if we can notify them, if they're
recommend, yeah.
not paying attention, I just think
Right.
there should be a system that we notify them via email or code red or something.
Okay, thank you. there any other public comment? We have no minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Grossman, I'm sorry.
Before we make the motion to adjourn, I just remind everyone that tomorrow is primary day, and the polls are open at the high school from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Wow. Anything else? Anyone have anything? Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you, good night.